The Catholic Church's Towards Healing protocols for addressing sexual abuse in the Church will be the focus of the Royal Commission's public hearings in December. The Commission will be looking at how Towards Healing works and will hear from people who have been involved in the Towards Healing process. Francis Sullivan, the CEO of the Truth, Justice and Healing Council, has spent the past 10 months listening to victims and working with Catholic organisations. Francis, welcome.
Thank you.
How important will the Royal Commission be for the Catholic Church in Australia?
Well, firstly, it's very important for victims and people who have been damaged by the Church. This is a time for them to tell their story, to be heard, and for them to hear how the Catholic Church in particular dealt with sexual abuse of children and the failures as well as our attempts to bring justice for people who have been damaged.
How has the Council assisted the Catholic Church prepare for the Royal Commission?
Well, the Catholic Church is not a single entity. There are 189 religious leaders and 34 dioceses. It's a very flat, diverse structure. So for the Catholic Church to embrace the Royal Commission openly and cooperatively, which is the wish of the bishops and leaders, there needed to be an entity that would coordinate the work and respond to the requests of the Commission. That's our council.
Have you been happy with the preparation so far?
I have found all across Australia, at meetings of leaders or meetings of church agencies or even in parishes and even schools, normal Catholics are all seemingly of the same mind as most Australians. This is a time where we can stand together and bear witness to what has happened on behalf of victims and people who have been damaged. People are wanting the truth to come out. People are wanting to see what will be a just outcome for people who have been damaged. People are wanting to see ways in which people can be healed.
How will the Church approach the Commission?
Well, first and foremost, we'll be open and frank with the Commission. We will admit the failures of the past. We will demonstrate where our administration of the past was inadequate and at times incompetent. We will also demonstrate to the Commission that the Church from the late 80s onwards began to become more aware and wake up to what was really going on and putting in place far more professional measures to address child sex abuse, but also a national pastoral response that was putting the victims' interests first and their needs.
Tell us a little bit about how the Commission will operate in December.
Well, we know that on the 9th of December, the Commission will begin to address the Church's pastoral response, which is called Towards Healing. And there will be a series of case studies that will be brought forward into public hearings. And people who are involved at the various times that are being examined will come forward or be called forward to explain what went on those occasions. And the Church will be open and frank about that and admit to what probably were failures and will demonstrate what measures have been put in place since then. So when we turn up at the Commission, we will turn up with a modest legal team. They're not there to aggressively cross-examine victims. We are there to let the truth come out.
Tell us a little bit about Towards Healing and what was the original intent of Towards Healing?
Well, Towards Healing was introduced back in 1996 as a national pastoral response to victims. Prior to that, the Church was running a legalistic, defensive protocol, more interested in its own image than it was in addressing the real needs of victims. So Towards Healing is an attempt to meet with people who have been damaged, determine what they need for support, put in place a package of support, and also, if the victim wants it, to receive an apology from the Church.
Francis, I've heard you say before that the revelations of clerical sex abuse will make it difficult for Catholics to identify as Catholics. What advice have you got for Catholics as they prepare for the Royal Commission?
Everybody should be aware that A Royal Commission will only be successful if the truth comes out. And for the Catholic Church, that means a warts and all explanation about the past. Catholics, whether they are practicing Catholics or identify with their Catholic background, will want the Church to be open and honest. So Catholics need to be ready to hear the full story.
So how do you think victims will fare after the Royal Commission?
Our hope is that the Royal Commission will deliver for victims what they deserve, which is justice, that they will be able to tell their story and that they'll be heard when they tell their story, that they'll be accepted when they tell their story, and that they can feel that the community has stood with them as they told their story.
How has the issue of clerical sex abuse impacted on the Church?
It has been a very, very dark shadow on the history of the Church. The Church's social standing has been damaged. Its influence in the wider community has been damaged. Its credibility as a moral force has been damaged. And people who participate in the Catholic Church want to see this period dealt with openly and honestly. So the good works that the Church endeavours to deliver day after day in hospitals and welfare, in schools, in community services, can be recognised for what they are without the shadow of clerical sex abuse hanging over it. So Catholics need to realise that the truth needs to come out, and when the truth comes out, warts and all, there will be shocks, there will be difficult stories to hear, but it's a necessary process because the people who've been damaged, the victims, deserve the truth to be told.
What's the Council saying to Catholics at the moment?
I've been going across the country addressing sometimes meetings of leaders and church agencies, but oftentimes ordinary Catholics in parishes or in school groupings. And the first thing and most startling thing is that most Catholics have not talked about this history, have not talked about what the Church has been doing to try and address sex abuse. And we are encouraging Catholics in any setting, parish settings or other, to simply talk about the issue, because people do need to tell their story. They also need to hear the genuine attempts that have been made by the Church to be more victim-focused in its processes.
Thanks very much, Francis, for talking to us.
Thank you.